Check it out, I found a setup that works.
Hell yeah.
Nobody's gonna watch, but I'm gonna sit here and crochet.
Yeah, I mean, you can. Hey.
I don't know. I thought maybe it'd be like one of those, like, not quite sim ASMR type videos or something.
Yeah. There's so many people that will just sit there and watch you do repetitive things. And just to see what you're doing. You've seen the videos that I come across on TikTok where, like, I have no idea what they're making, but they're making something. And I just sit there and watch it.
That's why I'm doing this one.
Yeah. Like, that's absolutely the kind of thing that humans can do. Is walk around and make anything.
With MyHeritage, you can also check out DNA matches. So these are people who match DNA with. And it looks like I have a second cousin from Switzerland. What? No way. So make sure you click the link in the description box and scan the QR code and use coupon code SHIAO, XIAO, for free shipping. And as an added bonus, you can start a 30-day free trial of MyHeritage's live subscription for family history research. Now back to me.
So nice to meet you. Welcome to the morning.
I feel like this area is fun over here.
Little Jurassic Park for you.
Yeah, actual Jurassic Park. Got that number.
We do.
Oh.
We are home to 7 bonobos, and the bonobos that live in England were all born in captivity. They don't have the skills to do well out in the water.
They're like right here, close to like relatives.
Yeah, so bonobos and chimpanzees. Yeah, so they're equally closely related to us. There are closest living relatives, and then bonobos and chimpanzees are actually more closely related to humans than they are to gorillas, to orangutans, or any of the other primates. So we're there close
See, the problem I have with DNA similarity of that is that we're almost as identical to a banana.
Yeah, I was about to say, aren't we like just as similar to a banana?
Yes.
Yes, we are. Over 300 of those individual
Which is
symbols.
quite bizarre.
So Convict doesn't have a symbol for every word or
Yep.
every food, and so sometimes he's posed with a new challenge, like being given a food item that he doesn't have a lexicon symbol for, and see what he pulls with. And so one really good example is he called Brussels sprouts trash lettuce.
Trash lettuce.
Trash lettuce.
Trash lettuce.
Like it depends if that's an insult to me that you think Brussels sprouts is trash.
Right, like the idea that he would even use trash, which refers to garbage,
Yeah.
and like it's not, right?
Right. And then it gets some kind of like abstraction.
Information sharing theory of mind, a lot of the things that we used to think were unique to humans, we actually think through studies with bonobos and other non-human animals that they have a lot of those capacities as well. I mean, so bonobos.
I'm kind of nervous, to be honest. I don't think I've ever seen one of them like this before.
So a lot of the early research was really focused on how human can the bonobos, what of our language that they learned, and anthropomorphic lens, which was how human are they. And really a lot of the work that we do is focused on like what are bonobos doing naturally with each other that we can learn about. And so I'm so excited for you to get to meet them. If you're really the first person who's coming in with the perspective of you're going to communicate with them using their own language and their own sense.
Or try
Shit, that's what I would do.
Try to do the broadcast localization without my presence. We'll see if I can. In a couple of different groups at a time, the bonobos enter the main room where I wait behind this door. They can't see me yet, but they can hear me through two-way speaker setup. Our first group is just two bonobos, Kanti and Tika. First, I did some ground slapping dots to establish rapport. This is my stab at bonobo plaything and laughter.
It's like, oh, you're fucking adorable.
Oh, he's trying.
Right?
They really enjoy affiliated tapping, so I tried some of that next. Along with the beeping noise while eating to establish my bonobos.
consistently shocked I knew how to do this.
Okay. What's the name?
How much do you go for now to keep work? Well, you can just be calling us on the phone. I think we're good. Thank you. He's saying celery. You need celery in the back. You want Ari to bring you celery? Water? Want the water.
Celery and water.
So they play water chase or we'll get mixed with the hose, and he loves that. So I think he's asking to get some mixed with the hose.
Okay.
Other.
Let's see if I can use what I learned from the first group to behave even more like a bonobo with the second group. Aisha, Clara, Molly, and Vicky.
Hi, Pam.
I can hear Aisha actually tries to respond under the door. You can't wait to see what's behind the door, and at one point actually try opening it.
Pam, what's up, bud? What's up, bud? Do you want to go outside? You want to go outside? Okay.
I got it.
Where's the bonobo?
As much shit as we give Pan for being a himbo, he communicates well.
Yes. He does have that down pretty good.
And he's opted for Leela's method of asking to come back
Back to
in.
grin and checks out indicates
He's like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
She's like, nah.
see if it works.
And honestly, it makes me happy that he does that as opposed to jumping up and scratching.
Yeah, same. And I'm pretty happy that he walks down the stairs.
Yeah.
Like, stop talking. Even from afar. Waiting for your friend. Probably down day. No, she said Bobby.
Thank you.
So take a lot of
Good boys.
Look at those full bonobos. You said males will rub each other.
They will rub with each other. It's less common than the females or the male-females, but the males also will be together.
And it's like
What will they do?
very sexual.
Genital on genital rubbing.
Yeah, extreme. They're the only
Oh.
species of breeding does that, and so it's thought that like that involved in when she mentioned form close pause, like instead of touching you. I would say we're really surprised. I think you cool though. How do you feel?
I feel like I learned from them a little bit their style of like teaching. And then the second with the girls when they came in, and I feel like I'm reading off them like I am but no, I got told to know
So I think a lot of times people want to interact with them like you would interact with another human. And so it was really refreshing to have you come in and be like, I'm gonna learn their language and see if they can pick up, which I think they really did.
they're in danger.
Yes, so bonobos are endangered in the wild, and we really think that if people don't know about bonobos, if we just ignore the fact that they're our closest living relatives, that the species will go extinct in our lifetime. Habitat destruction and fragmentation, and then there's also a very big illegal bushmeat and pet trade. So the adults are killed and cooked for meat, and then the infants are taken and sold into the pet trade as human pets, and that's why it's so important to have people know about bonobos so we can do more to help protect them and their natural habitats.
Thank you for doing what you do. You know, checking your website.
Thank you so much for helping us raise awareness about endangered bonobos.
So remember to check out nativenative.org, and also thanks again to My Heritage for sponsoring me.
I love you, Space Wolf.
I love you too. Oh fuck. Nice. Oh, okay, I've seen that. He made contact with the lost Amazon tribe by speaking their language.
Nice.
I think this is one of those times he might have almost died. Somewhere in Eastern Ecuador. Oh, okay. That's, never mind, that's nowhere near as dangerous as it was.
First contact with the rest of humanity over 50 years ago. There are currently less than 5,000 of them. Many still live deep in the jungle, subsisting on wild monkeys and they hunt themselves and they locals. Visiting their village, which is accessible via a dangerous 12-hour ride through the jungle, perhaps the single craziest experience of my life. I brought along my youthful friend Dave here, his cameraman Nate, and my friends Cameron and John. But before we get on with the video, a huge thanks to Timo for making this crazy expedition possible. Timo is the shopping platform that everyone's been talking about because they have an extraordinary range of ultra-affordable goods ranging from fashion, jewelry, home decor, pet supplies, toys and games, and the Timo app has all the best deals, so make sure you download that. Now, I actually happen to personally love this app, and I just got a today, and you pick up a pair of these bad boys for 99 cents. Amazing. And remember that Timo has free shipping plus Timo has tried it out today, and guarantee you're going to love it.
There we go.
Inyomo, Guarani, Inyomo Tere, Caramanani, que un nimi. ¿Has visto?
This area is dangerous. We cannot disembark. We have contacted tribes within this area. Last trip we saw their footprints. They will kill us? Yes. Okay. Okay, we'll stay on the boat then. As long as we stay on the river, we should be fine.
Okay.
It's like a road. In 2014, they killed my cousin.
Damn.
They disembarked around here. They killed him with a spear.
Fuck that noise.
Body was pierced. Oh, and her husband was pierced 15 to 20 times. So whose idea was this? Why are we following you? You fucking white book. We're hunting monkeys tomorrow?
5 hours
Yes.
voting for entries later. We are halfway.
We're halfway.
No way. Yeah, there's a lot of trees everywhere. Oh my goodness.
6 hours by time. Skiff. I gotta pee. The kid, hey, the white boy's speaking our language. Honestly, I wonder how hard it is to hire him as a phone translator. Anytime we need to go somewhere that's like fucking weird, you know, just like shoot him an email. Hey, you ever wanted to go here? And why? We were taking a trip. We were looking to see if you'd be maybe interested in going there and translating.
You seem to have a knack for doing it quickly.
Right?
Stop picking at it. But not my tattoos.
Fucking monkey, come over. I'm just them all thinking his reaction to the monkey is hilarious. He's like, this is my first time seeing a monkey in a while.
Like it feels like actual hands. Hey, I'm over.
They are.
What hand am I?
You want to try some monkey? It's delicious. You should try it. I don't know. I'm tired. Come on. The guy in hammock's the leader of the village. How do you speak our language? I learned online. Online.
And because I heard you do this, I did have one important question to ask.
Can I sing with you guys together? Okay, I guess. When the women do that with the leaves, it means they're trying to seduce you. They think you're handsome.
Wow, nice. Okay.
I have a wife. The ladies. He has a wife. I have a wife, though. I have a wife.
You're married, but I'm single.
He's single. Where we've been living for thousands of years. Our language and culture. We hope that you can deliver our important message to the world. We wish to continue our traditions and language in this land. And the biggest problem we face right now is oil drilling on our land. We don't want our culture to be lost because this land is part of our life. It's how we eat, it's how we live. And also all the animals, the jaguar, the anaconda, the tapir. So we don't want to lose this jungle and we hope our message will reach the rest of the world. And we want to show how we live as and again, thanks for listening. I surprised African tribal warriors by speaking their language. That was the one.
Mm-hmm.
And I went there because of a TikTok video.
I saw that one with you. We watched that one together.
This is an interesting thing. Going to war with the Yanomami tribe.
These are the Yanomami, one of the most isolated tribes in the world. We're in Venezuela and we're going hunting. Ah!
Yeah, and he visited the Cree elders who spoke the native Lakota language.
Nice.
I pretended to be Chinese on a blindfolded game show. also the one who gossips about me that I secretly know Chinese.
Alexa, read my notification. No, thank you, Alexa. Along with crochet hooks, I got Lion's Mane mushroom grow kit.
One
Nice.
single
Which has apparently
scientist
arrived.
created
Oh, yeah.
I think the crochet hooks get here tomorrow. But it's a full set, and they're like nice handles, which are a little easier on my hands and stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
The patterns around the world. Imagine a force so powerful that it can change weather patterns around the world and even alter the fate of ancient civilizations. Earth's short-term weather patterns and long-term climate are influenced by a complex collection of factors, from our place in the solar system, the planet's rotation, to atmospheric patterns and seasonal changes. To further complicate things, every few years our planet experiences El Nino and La Nina events, two opposite ends of a scale that are part of the El Nino Southern Oscillation, or ENSO for short. Evidence of the ENSO goes back tens of thousands of years, and may have even played a role in destabilizing some of the world's great ancient civilizations. One of the 5 strongest El Nino events ever recorded has finally come to an end as of June 2024, after months of record-high ocean temperatures, unprecedented heat stress on coral reefs, drought in the Amazon rainforest, and extreme rainfall with dangerous consequences for North America. With La Nina predicted to begin late 2024 or early 2025, what changes can we expect globally and locally?
This is interesting.
I'm Alex McColgan, and you're watching Astro. Join me as we take a look at our changing planet, the ENSO, and what La Nina will do to Earth. Our previous video about El Nino explored one side of a global cycle that typically takes between 2 to 7 years to swing from one extreme to the other. These El Nino and La Nina episodes usually last 9 to 12 months, but can last several years. In this video, we will take a closer look at how this cycle works, what neutral periods are, and what might happen as we head into the opposite extreme of La Nina in the coming months. When our Earth experiences average conditions, we call those periods ENSO neutral. But every few years, fluctuations in wind and ocean surface temperatures can signal the beginning of an El Nino or La Nina event, and a departure from Earth's normal conditions. These events alter worldwide atmospheric patterns and are known to wreak havoc by contributing to extreme weather and environmental harm. Imagine we're on the International Space Station orbiting Earth. From here, we can see our planet's spherical shape, and, as you might expect, sunlight affects the Earth's surface unevenly. More light and heat reaches the Earth at the equator, where sunlight strikes most directly, compared to the poles, where sunlight reaches our planet at a low angle. In the same way that a hot air balloon rises, or hot steam rises over a pot of boiling water, the same thing happens along the equator. Direct sunlight warms up the air, and that hot, moist, low-pressure air rises up into the atmosphere. As the warm air gets higher, it begins to cool off and condense into clouds. This is why we see an abundance of tropical rainforests close to the equator. More warm air continues to rise, pushing the cooler air away from the equator equator out towards the north and south, where it will eventually sink back down to the surface. Then that cool air will move from higher pressure along the surface of the Earth back to lower pressure near the equator to start the cycle all over again, completing what we call the Hadley cell rotation. But how does this worldwide circulation of air driven by the sun relate to El Nino and La Nina events? The surface winds created by these Hadley cells are deflected towards the equator due to the Earth's rotation, a phenomenon we call the Coriolis effect. It's this effect that creates the trade winds on either side of the equator, and it's changes to these trade winds that indicate when we will experience El Nino and La Nina events. Historically, trade winds have been so reliable that sailors have used them to navigate the globe for centuries, hence the name trade winds. Chemical signatures of the ENSO stretch back tens of thousands of years in paleoclimate indicators like coral fossils, and we have written records of the ENSO as far back as the 1500s. El Nino events may have aided Spain in their conquest of the Incan Empire in the 1500s, and in the late 1700s likely contributed to crop failures and unrest that sparked the French Revolution. Despite this long record of ENSO activity and the massive impact it has on worldwide weather and environments, it wasn't until the 20th century that we finally started to understand the mechanisms behind it. The first defining breakthrough came in the 1920s when a British scientist named Sir Gilbert Thomas Walker set out to better understand the strength of monsoons in India. In his search for a way to predict monsoon strength, he ended up documenting the Southern Oscillation, a repeating shift in air pressure that happens across the equatorial Pacific Ocean. This oscillation was part of another large-scale air circulation that had not been documented before and was later named the Walker Circulation. Remember how I said that Hadley cells circulate air north and south? The Walker Circulation is just like Hadley cells, except instead of moving air north and south, the Walker Circulation moves air to the east and west over the equatorial Pacific. And instead of being driven by sunlight, the Walker Circulation is guided by the easterly trade winds and ocean temperature. It would be 60 more years before scientists were able to connect these changes in air pressure over the Pacific with the alternating pattern of warm and cool surface water in the Pacific. Combined, these make up what we now know as the El Nino Southern Oscillation, ENSO. El Nino refers to the changes in sea surface temperature, and the Southern Oscillation refers to the simultaneous changes in air pressure. And like Hadley cells that reliably move air north and south, the equatorial Walker Circulation is not consistent and can experience colossal shifts as part of the Southern Oscillation. Every few years, the surface temperature and trade winds over the Pacific experience fluctuations, signaling an oncoming shift in the Walker Circulation. In turn, these shifts, which we refer to as El Nino or La Nina events, can upset the balance of weather and ecosystems across the entire Earth. So, what happens to the Earth during each of these? During neutral ENSO periods, sea surface temperature and trade winds are near average conditions. Trade winds blow across the Pacific Ocean, guiding warm surface waters to travel west from South America towards Australia and Asia. As that warm surface water moves west, it makes way for deep, cooler waters to rise up in its place. This ocean circulation brings nutrient-rich cool water to the surface in a process called upwelling, where it feeds phytoplankton and in turn supports other parts of the ecosystem like fish. In neutral periods, weather across the world occurs more or less as expected. This can include normal hurricane development in the Atlantic, average monsoon rainfall across Southeast Asia. Walker Circulation drives columns of warm, moist air to rise up above Southern Asia and Northern South America and Middle Africa. So it's no coincidence that these three regions are where we see a concentration of vast, lush rainforests. The influence of this equatorial airflow is vast, so it's easy to imagine how changes to this system could cause a ripple effect around the world. The first signs of trouble are when the trade winds begin to weaken and sea surface temperatures rise in the Pacific, which can indicate oncoming El Nino event like the one we experienced in 2023 and 2024. During El Nino, the colossal columns of warm air that rise above our world's rainforests are shifted to the east or west. This change disrupts Asia's monsoon season with prolonged droughts and water scarcity and affects the livelihoods of millions of people in East Asia. The last El Nino also brought 9 atmospheric rivers to the western United States that led to major transportation issues, dangerous landslides, flooding. You can think of an atmospheric river like a river of moisture streaming through the air. When these atmospheric rivers reach land, they release all that moisture, causing monumental precipitation. Everywhere on Earth, this shift in water circulation is felt during El Nino. However, the changes you experience in your local weather conditions may be completely different from the changes another person sees in their local weather elsewhere on our planet. El Nino typically brings a reversal of the normal conditions for a given area. This is why places like East Asia or the Amazon rainforest, which typically get plenty of rain, will experience drought during an El Nino event, or why usually dry climates like Western North America will experience tremendous rainfall events. The recent El Nino event was also responsible for worldwide shipping delays in 2023, as there wasn't enough water to feed the Panama Canal, which relies on consistent rainfall to accommodate all of the cargo ships hoping to pass through. El Nino is described as the warm part of the ENSO cycle because Pacific sea surface temperatures are higher than average during this time. In addition to changing worldwide weather patterns, this also negatively affects ecosystems. Take, for example, coral reefs. They rely on particular sea surface temperatures to survive and support some of the most important and biologically diverse life on Earth. Corals have a symbiotic relationship with algae, but an increase in water temperatures cause the coral to expel this algae, leaving it drained of color and vulnerable. A reef can recover from this bleaching if conditions improve in time, but their risk of dying is high, and the last El Nino event was no exception. An unprecedented 99.7% of Atlantic tropical reefs were impacted by bleaching level heat stress during the 2023 to 2024 El Nino event as part of the 4th worldwide mass bleaching event in recorded history. The warmer Pacific waters and weakened trade winds from El Nino also caused the upwelling of cooler, nutrient-rich water to temporarily slow or stop, leading to a dire situation where less phytoplankton means large numbers of fish must migrate or perish. As you can imagine, this ripples across the food chain and can impact other animals. For coastal families and communities who rely on those fish for nourishment or income, this El Nino effect can be devastating. Now that we've discussed what it's like during a neutral ENSO period, and the destructive changes that can happen with El Nino conditions like we saw in 2023 and 2024, what can we expect from this upcoming La Nina phenomenon? La Nina is the other extreme. This period is marked by stronger than usual trade winds and cooler than average Pacific sea surface temperatures. Well, while El Nino usually causes the reversal of neutral conditions, the best way to understand La Nina is to think of it as a more intense version of neutral conditions for most parts of the world, with a few exceptions. During La Nina, the neutral columns of rising warm air above South Asia and eastern North America become more pronounced, while the typical column of warm air above Africa reverses. Just as your experience of El Nino is highly dependent on where you are located, the same is true of La Nina.
Nice.
As of August 2024, the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration predicts a 66% chance that
This
La Nina will
area,
develop
La
between
Nina is the
September to
one with more
November of
precipitation,
2024,
whereas down in Mexico, El
74%
Nino
chance
is the
that it
one
will
that
last well into the Northern Hemisphere's winter of 2025 to 2026. And as of this video, models are predicting a roughly 50% chance that this La Nina event will peak at a moderate strength. However, while forecasts for a La Nina event happening are usually correct, the predicted strength for these events will likely change from month to month. A strong El Nino ending in 2024 does not necessarily mean the upcoming La Nina will be as extreme. Sometimes a strong El Nino leads to a strong La Nina, but other times a strong El Nino is followed by a weak La Nina. With only 10 times in the historical record when the ENSO has changed between El Nino and La Nina within a 1-year time period, as is expected with this year's switch, there just isn't enough historical data to draw many conclusions. Besides, scientists warn that the strength of an ENSO event does not always line up with the severity of its impacts. So, what do we know about the upcoming La Nina? For the northern part of North America, La Nina brings with it a colder, wetter winter, while the southern part of the continent might experience a warmer and more dry winter. And notably, La Nina will increase the likelihood of a more active hurricane season in the Atlantic, with the potential for more and stronger hurricanes. For East Asia and Australia, this typically means a significant increase in rainfall, while in Africa, La Nina can mean some areas to the west are more wet, while Eastern Africa tends to experience more drought. The connection between ENSO and Europe isn't quite as clear, since the continent is further from the source, but La Nina is expected to bring lower than average temperatures to Central and Western Europe, with less precipitation across the mainland this winter, and more precipitation to the north and south. There's one final thing we need to talk about when it comes to La Nina predictions. The El Nino and La Nina extremes of the ENSO have been happening for millennia. What's less certain is how global warming from climate change will impact this cycle. While we see short-term, localized temperature swings from ENSO, the all-over trend of global warming continues on an upward trajectory. This means we are entering uncharted territory. There's clear evidence that as our planet continues to warm from climate change, the occurrence of severe weather will escalate. But the ENSO is a complicated, worldwide, and in many ways, still an unpredictable phenomenon. Just in recent history, El Nino and La Nina events have become stronger and more frequent, leading to more droughts, floods, heat waves, wildfires, and extreme storms, like we saw during the last La Nina event that lasted for 3 years, from 2020 to 2023. Exactly how global warming may impact the ENSO cycle is unclear, but we do know that climate change is likely to amplify that too. Luckily, life on our planet is nothing if not resilient and adaptable. And as our world continues to change and experience the millennia-old ENSO swings, scientists will learn more each year and be able to improve predictions about the complex climate system. The approaching La Nina will undoubtedly teach us more about our planet's climate. Let's hope we are paying attention and use these lessons to adapt and prepare for our future in sustainable ways. I'd love to hear in the comments what questions you have about our planet's climate. Creating videos about space is a lot of fun, but for someone broadcasting on a large public forum seen by millions of you, even I can appreciate my privacy to some degree. For instance, I tell you my name, it would be a bit scarier for my email or phone number, my address, and my property value, or even the names of my relatives to be freely exchanged information on the public market. And yet, those are exactly the kinds of details traded daily by data brokers, profiting off people's personal information. When I first learned about this, it made me really uncomfortable. And given the fact that there were 3,205 data breaches affecting 353 million people in the US last year alone, having this data in databases makes me vulnerable to criminals who might misuse it. Which is why I'm a fan of Delete Me, the sponsor of today's video. By signing up to Delete Me, which is very easy to do, their experts find and remove your data from those data brokers, helping keep your personal information safer. They give you regular status updates showing you exactly how many data brokers have taken your data down, and they regularly check again to make sure your data isn't going right back up. Look at the results for me. It's been great for my peace of mind. If you want to be equally peaceful by stopping data brokers profiting off your information,
this is an exact copy of my left collarbone, printed in a bone-like material. And this is that exact same collarbone, but coated in 1,000 microns of nanobate alloy, real-life adamantium. And this is our world's largest Thor hammer, weighing 4,444 pounds. And this tiny thin coating of a super alloy is so strong, we can pick this up. Where will it shoot if it breaks? At me, alright. Real-life adamantium. I am being held up by a one-to-one copy of my collarbone. This is kind of terrifying. Alright, bring it down.
Alright, bring it down.
Real-life adamantium. Explain how we got here. We got a backup. Wait, please. I'm trying to do a video. Deadpool 3 is now here. So what? Me and you save the world. Anyway, could you coat your bones in advanced adamantium-like alloy using nanotechnology? How much more durable would you be in school? Take this ping pong ball for example. It's pretty strong in its round shape, but not that strong. This is the same ping pong ball, but it's been coated with a 300 micron thick layer of advanced alloy. That's about 12 thousandths of an inch, or about the thickness of 3 human hairs. The proprietary coating is from Integra, a company that specializes in nanotech coatings, having worked with the likes of NASA and the nuclear industry. It might look like a steel ball bearing, but it weighs next to nothing, being completely hollow, and it still bounces. With this super thin metal coating, it has an ultimate strength of 1,600 megapascals. For the Americans in the audience, if you multiply that by 145, you get pounds per square inch, which means this material has an ultimate strength of 232,000 pounds per square inch. That's insane. For example, if you had a solid 1-inch cube of material like this, you could put 232,000 pounds on it, or about 2 fully loaded 737s balanced on their noses. In reality, the planes squish into their own weight, but it's a nice visual, right? Now, since this is just a hollow ping pong ball, unlike the solid cube example I just gave you, it's not that strong, but it's still incredibly strong. Yeah, it's pretty strong. In fact, in Integra's lobby, they actually have this ping pong ball on display supporting 200 pounds in liquid weight. It's super cool, and we think we might actually sell them in Acronym stores. Now, in case you didn't know, a few years ago, I broke my hand during a video. Oh! The moment I understood the weakness of my flesh, create the strength, strength, speed. Yep. Now I have a titanium plate in my hand, thanks to Dr. Chris Rayner, a fellow YouTuber and surgeon. And my hand is probably stronger now because of it. But what if you could skip that whole step of breaking your bones and putting it back together with titanium, and just have metal-plated, indestructible bones in the first place? If it wasn't obvious, Wolverine is my favorite superhero. I mean, we're both Canadian. And Full Metal Wolverine class, that was actually my very first Mega Reel project 15 years ago. Long before I'd even come up with a name for the series, called Mega Reel. They were for an epic Halloween costume, and I built them during an internship for a machine shop. Since then, I've electrified them, I've made foam cloths, and I've even made a pair of self-healing cloths, which I know is kind of ironic since the whole point of having an indestructible skeleton is being indestructible. But hey, the YouTube short on it has over 250 million views now. Funny enough, my dad was a huge fan of Talking Heads back in the day. I really liked Wolverine Origins, unlike most people, and seeing Logan's transformation into Weapon X really got me thinking, could we become enhanced like him? Can we use technology to make our own bodies go beyond evolution? With advances in gene editing, accelerated healing may be within our reach in our lifetime. In fact, I'm actually working on another project with a doctor at the forefront of regenerative medicine on a super soldier serum project. He's going to be genetically modified to susceptible. But more on that later. Let's figure out how to make my bones indestructible by coating a real-life version of adamantium called nanotech. Can't tell if it's love or carbon monoxide. Again, lightheaded. How, right? First off, what is bone? Hang on one second. Alright, that's a bit better. What if I told you we already have metal skeletons? One of the primary ingredients in bone is calcium. And calcium is actually a metal. Pretty cool, right? Now I'm sure you've heard this fact thrown around. you know bone is 5 times stronger than steel? What's the point in coating my skeleton in metal if our bones are already stronger? Well, kind of. The part of that fact that always gets cut off is the end. Stronger by strength to weight ratio. What's that mean? Well, by mass, bone is stronger than the equivalent amount of steel in certain cases. Take the density of steel and divide it by the density of bone, and we now know that bone is 8.53 times larger than steel. Effectively, that means you could take 8.5 bones and they would weigh as much as one solid steel bone. But 8.5 bones would be stronger than that one steel bone. In fact, if you run the numbers, those 8.5 bones end up being about 5 times stronger than a steel bone. To make things even more complicated, bone is actually composite. Bone is made up of 2 different types of bone: cortical bone, or compact bone, and cancellous bone, spongy bone. The compact bone is essentially the shell, and that's where the strength comes from. Here, let me show you. Oh, slow down. Oh! That's worse than I thought. I could go into further details of bone, but let's be real here. That's not why you're here, and I'm not a doctor. So, short of removing one of my bones and coat it in metal, how exactly are we going to figure out how much stronger my skeleton would be with a layer of indestructible metal on it? Well, we need to be able to manufacture a bone analog to test our hypothesis. The best material I have on hand that's reasonably close to the strength of bone is this glass fiber reinforced nylon from my Pantheon 3D printer. Its ultimate tensile strength is only 89 megapascals, which is only about 65% of cortical bone at 135, but it is almost 18 times stronger than cancellous bone. You win some, you lose some. Luckily, I could probably just print a more dense bone out of the nylon to match the strength of human bone, which isn't 100% cortical bone. So hopefully I get pretty close to strength. And also, real quick note, bone analog is possible to make via casting, sometimes using materials like polyurethane. But that's a bit outside the scope of this project, so we're just trying to establish a reasonable baseline for our experiments. Now, technically, using my new Prusa XL 3D printer, I could print the bone as a composite, 2 different materials for cortical and cancellous bone. But I think we're already making this more complicated than it needs to be, and since I can't even match the strength of cortical bone with plastic, we're going to have to rely on having some more of the nylon to reach the overall strength of the human bone. Now, I still want to test real bone, so I bought some off the internet. Out leg bones, to be precise. Crazy what you can buy on Etsy. I'm going to 3D scan one of these using the Rebel Point Mirror
What was
Scanner,
it?
which is the most user-friendly 3D scanner I've ever used. Then I can take the 3D model and 3D print it with the glass fiber nylon.
I mean,
Test it.
Not surprised.
Ta-da!
right?
Real
Like,
bone.
listen, if you
Well,
hunt,
real bone analog.
Yeah.
I also printed several
Yeah, do
different
something.
variations, each giving wall
People
thickness
use it
of
for
bone.
like handles
Now,
for
based on the
knives,
numbers,
witchy
it's
shit.
doing a lot of
Right.
things. The real bone should
Sorry.
still be stronger than the 3D printed one, but hopefully one of these will have comparable strength. So let's find out and see which one breaks first. Now, I could just go caveman on these bones. But anyway, you clicked on this video because I said I coated my skeleton in metal. We need to 3D model my skeleton. How hard could that be? But before we get to that, I want to quickly show you something I've been working on and I'm pretty excited about. Ben and I have spent the past few months designing and manufacturing a prototype product for Hackers on Store. It's called the Smith Blade, an everyday carry, reimagined titanium multi-tool pocket knife that looks like it's straight out of sci-fi. You see, when I was a kid, I was a Boy Scout, and the motto was, always be prepared, which is definitely something that's carried through into being a hacksmith, and I love my Swiss Army knife. Today, the EDC tool market is dominated by just a few companies, and don't get me wrong, there are some incredible multi-tools out there. I love having pliers on me at any given time. After all, like Adam Savage says, every tool's a hammer. The right tool is the one at hand. But most multi-tools are usually too bulky or heavy for me to keep on my belt at all times. I need something smaller, something I can take with me everywhere. Plus, it fits perfectly into the belt loop on the new Smith pants. And the best form of invention or innovation is born in necessity. I designed the Smith Blade to solve a problem in my life. And
That being
problem
fucking
is
said,
being cursed with the knowledge of how to fix things.
I would
Not
trust
always having
anything
tools
they've
to
designed.
do it. I know you're going to love this knife. We managed to fit a dozen tools in this slim package that weighs just over 100 grams. It features a reverse Tanto-style blade, complete with a file on the back edge, usable in both positions. It's got a ball opener and pry bar, a ruler on the backside, and a glass breaking tool and metal scribe. Some tweezers, a 4mm hex driver integrated into the end, and integrated storage for 4 4mm hex bits, including a pen. It's awesome, and the prototype has already saved my butt numerous times. Not only do I carry this personally every day, but my team does as well. we've ever made, the best multi tool you can own. I'm hoping to launch this in the next few months, and we'll even be manufacturing the Founders Edition right here in Herb. There'll be a limited run, so sign up for updates at Hacksaw Store to make sure you don't miss the opportunity to get your hands on one of the best products we've ever designed. Alright, so a 3D model of my skeleton. Well, I've got a bunch of MRIs of my spine from over the years because of the back pain I've been dealing with since 2020. Now, I'm happy to say that my back is actually doing a lot better thanks to some cutting-edge technology in Dubai with a doctor I know who's at the forefront of regenerative medicine. And maybe a little thanks to the super soldier serum I took while I was there. But more on that in a future video. Because, just coating my skeleton isn't enough to become Wolverine. So, these are my MRIs, and this is the open source medical imaging software called Slicer.org. It's not a pretty steep learning curve, but it's pretty fascinating when you get the hang of it. I looked up some tutorials on creating 3D models for your medical images, and, well, since MRIs are for soft tissue typically, it turns out it's not great for doing a 3D model with all of those. But it looks like if you get a CT scan done, it's relatively easy to get a 3D model of the skeleton out of those bodies. CT scans are a bit more expensive than MRIs, and typically you don't have them done unless you've got some serious medical issues. It's a lot of radiation because a CT scan is like a rotating X-ray. But unlike when you get a broken bone X-ray, which might be 3 or 4 X-rays at different angles, the CT scan is hundreds to thousands of X-rays rotating around your body. Yikes. Luckily, technology has come a long way, and while it used to kind of be a last resort style of imaging, the newer equipment is significantly safer. Or at least that's what I'm told. I'm not a doctor. So I started calling up different medical imaging clinics to see if anyone would let me take a optional, just for research, CT scan. And luckily, I found the perfect business called CanMax Medical Imaging, run by a guy named Generino. I like what CanMax Medical Imaging is offering. I met with the team and
Forget we'll take your money.
Medical imaging they need, fast and affordable. Generino offers to bring it down to one of their partner clinics in Buffalo, called Western New York MRI.
My name is Generino Lamont. I'm the president and founder of CanMax Medical Imaging. We're standing in front of the PET CT scanner. Today, James has joined us to do a CT scan where we're going to do a three-dimensional reconstruction of those CT slices. Does that not give you a little bit like chills?
Oh god. Alright, now I'm getting some existential dread. That's really cool. I'll make a miniature 3D printed model.
That's the thing inside me. That's the thing inside me.
I was just short enough to scan fully in a single pass. Guess I've got that in common with my favorite hero as well. They also sat me down with another doctor and radiologist for almost an hour, and we went through my entire scan looking for any abnormalities. And I'm happy to say I've got a clean bill of health. Would have been pretty ironic if we discovered something after doing the CT scan for this project. So probably would have made for a better video. Armed with my CT scan in hand, we can finally get this project started for real. I popped open the files in Slicer, and wow, the CT scan really does capture everything. You can even see the veins in my arms. You can see the wrinkles in the t-shirt I was wearing. The metal and screw in my hand, and even the stainless steel wire from a hernia repair I had done a few years ago. This is so cool. The software shows a volume rendering of my skeleton, but unfortunately that's just a graphical representation, and you can't actually just export it as an STL file for 3D printing. As it turns out, there's actually a lot of manual work to get a good 3D model out of these images, because they're essentially just grayscale slices of my body, where the brighter the color, the more dense the substance being X-rayed is. Makes sense.